An 11-year-old boy from Iowa was reported missing from a Boy Scout camp in Iowa in 1973. Now, almost 50 years later, his disappearance is still a mystery. "11-year-old Guy Heckel was camping with fellow scouts at the Kiwanis Cabins along the Cedar River between Palo, Iowa and Toddville, Iowa on February 3, 1973. Heckel was playing a game of Capture the Flag when he was last seen around 8 p.m. No one at the camp noticed he was missing until bed check that evening, Iowa Cold Cases reported. Troop members spent 90 minutes searching for Heckel before calling the Lynn County Sheriff's Office to report him missing. Police and volunteers showed up and searched near the river the same night. On February 4, 1973, about 500 people went out into the heavily wooded area about a mile west of Toddville to search for Heckel. The same day, Heckel's blue parka, still zipped at the bottom, was found snagged on a log along the river's east bank, police said. People searched for Heckel for 2 more days, along with a helicopter, airplane, all-terrain vehicles and horses being used for the search. According to investigators, the thought was Heckel slipped into the river and drowned, but said there is a possibility something else led to his disappearance, Iowa Cold Cases stated. However, Heckel's family always thought foul play was involved, especially since his body was never recovered. Around the same time he went missing, media reports detailed Iowa Boy Scout leaders allegedly molesting troops in their care, Iowa Cold Cases reported. A $5,000 reward was offered in 1974 for any information leading to Heckel's discovery, but the reward went unclaimed, officials said. Heckel's parents, Nancy and Howard Heckel, conducted their own search for more than a year after their son went missing. They went out every day after work and on the weekends, and sometimes searched using a boat, police said. Howard died in 1998, but Nancy spoke to the Cedar Rapids Gazette in 2002 and said, "I don't have any hopes that he is alive now, but we would like to know what happened, if it was foul play, at least one person known. If someone knows that Guy met with foul play, it's not too late to give Guy's family some peace. It is now nearly 5 decades later, and the blue parka remains the only known trace of evidence in Heckel's disappearance." A young mother of 4 disappears without a trace. No shoes, no coat, just gone. A chilling warning to her father: "They're going to kill me." And a dark secret that may have sealed her fate. This is the case of Alice Van Alstyne, the woman who knew too much. It was a Friday night in Des Moines, Iowa. Alice Van Alstyne, a 28-year-old single mother, put her kids to bed. By morning, she was gone. Her purse? Still inside. Her money? Untouched. And outside, her car sat with the door open, keys in the ignition. But Alice, she was nowhere to be found. Her 6-year-old son later told the police, "Mommy wasn't there when I woke up." Born in 1947, Alice Mae Barnes was a brilliant student, top of her high school class. She dreamed of becoming a veterinarian, but life had other plans. She married young, had 4 kids, and struggled through an abusive marriage. By 1975, she was divorced. But her troubles were far from over. Alice worked tirelessly to support her children, but beneath the surface, she was hiding a secret that put her life in danger. Alice wasn't just any mother. She had ties to a shadowy, far-right paramilitary group known as the Minutemen. The group was stockpiling weapons for what they called an underground war. And Alice? She knew too much. Alice wasn't just involved, she was a whistleblower. She began talking to the FBI about the Minutemen's illegal activities, including their weapons cache. She told her father, "They're going to kill me." She feared for her life, and for good reason. The Minutemen were known to eliminate threats. Could Alice have been their next target? Alice's car was found parked outside her apartment. The driver's door was open, the keys still in the ignition. But there were no signs of a struggle inside the apartment. Police believed Alice left willingly. or was lured outside by someone she knew. But who and why? There were three main suspects. Suspect number 1, Lee Harlow Andre, Alice's ex-husband. He admitted to seeing Alice the night she vanished. He claimed they argued about custody, but denied any involvement in her disappearance. Authorities couldn't prove otherwise, but Alice's family was convinced he was involved. They described Andre as controlling and abusive. Could he have snapped and done the unthinkable? Suspect number 2, the Minutemen. Alice's involvement with the group and her cooperation with the FBI made her a target. Some theorize she was kidnapped and killed to keep her quiet. If the Minutemen were responsible, they covered their tracks well. No evidence linking them to Alice's disappearance was ever found. Suspect number 3, a mysterious man seen lurking near Alice's apartment that night. Several neighbors reported seeing him, but he was never identified. Alice's father, Howard Barnes, spent years searching for his daughter. He drove over 15,000 miles, following every lead, but came up empty. And in 2013, a devastating setback. Floods destroyed critical police files on the case, erasing any hope of solving the mystery. So what happened to Alice Van Alstyne? Was she silenced by the Minutemen? Did her ex-husband have something to do with it? Or did someone else entirely target her? One thing is certain, Alice didn't just vanish. Someone out there knows what happened. But after nearly 50 years, her case remains one of Iowa's most haunting unsolved mysteries. A little boy full of life, gone without a trace. Brighton Ackerman, just 4 years old, vanished, leaving behind only memories of his laughter, his love for the outdoors, and the nickname his dad gave him, Daddy's Melon Head. What happened to Brighton? And why, after all these years, are there still more questions than answers? Brighton Ackerman, 4, disappeared while fishing with his family May 22, 2005, on Willow Creek near Alton, Iowa. The preschool graduate is presumed to have drowned. His body was never found. 7 years later, police are still trying to unravel the mystery of what happened to Brighton. The boy simply vanished without a trace. His father, Brad Ackerman, still wants to know what happened to his boy. Every May 22nd, he visits the spot his son disappeared. "I don't think you ever quit wondering. Quit worrying," said Ackerman of Alton. Brighton disappeared from Willow Creek. Normally shallow, the creek running through a cornfield was swollen with rain. "Water was the only thing that makes sense," Ackerman said. "And that still doesn't make sense." Divers, volunteers, and search dogs scoured the creek without finding anything. They followed it 17 miles to the Floyd River in Lamars, Iowa. Then they searched the Floyd River down to the Missouri River. Searchers tore up the concrete bridge Brighton was last seen on in the days after he went missing. Volunteers dug up the creek bed with heavy equipment. Mesh fencing strung across the creek yielded nothing. They did this even though experts said a child Brighton's size would have only floated 100 yards down the creek, said Sioux County Sheriff Dan Altina. "We found nothing, not one iota," Altina said. "Not a piece of ripped shirt or anything." Investigators chased several leads. Could Brighton have walked a quarter-mile to the Blacktop Highway and been kidnapped, fallen into an animal hole, and been buried? "It's been really hard to never find a body," Altina said. "I think it's difficult in any death, especially one like this." Brad Ackerman said he tries to find solace in the good times. Brighton riding his tricycle up and down the cattle barns, the four-wheeler rides father and son took together after chores. How mad Brighton would get when he got hurt. Sioux County deputies re-examined the case a few years ago. They gave a polygraph examination to a relative at Creek that day. Although they didn't suspect the man, who went for help, of harming Brighton, Altina said they wanted to know if Brighton could have sneaked inside the vehicle without anyone knowing it. The man passed the polygraph. "No one at the creek is suspected of harming Brighton," Altina said. The Ackerman family split up in the years after Brighton's disappearance. Ackerman and his daughters still talk about happy memories. Brighton's nicknames were Melonhead and Bee. He loved playing with his toy farm and his sisters. "We laugh, we cry," said Ackerman. "We have good times talking about things we used to do with Brighton." He's tried to come to peace with what happened 7 years ago, yet he and investigators still wonder. "We have gone to the scene where it's happened quite often," Altina said. "And just looking at it, you just want to start all over and do a total search all over again because you think, how in the world is this possible?" It's reported that Willie was recently divorced and had trouble with an ex-boyfriend. Just days before she disappeared, Willie was said to have told the police that this ex was frightening her. Her relatives have stated that she would never have walked away from her life and abandoned her children. Willie Ann Rucker would never know what became of her 2 daughters or her son, nor do they know whatever became of her. On April 8, 1979, Willie Ann Rucker called her sister from a grocery store after working late and asked her to take the 3 children to her apartment on West Donald Street in Waterloo, Iowa, where she would meet them. Rucker, 27, was recently divorced and worked as a cocktail waitress in an East Side lounge. Her sister cared for her 3 children, daughters Kim, 10, Dina, 9, and son David, 1 year old. Rucker never arrived. Just days earlier, the attractive young mother had placed a call to police and reported that a former boyfriend was scaring her. And, according to family members, Rucker would never have just abandoned her children or not checked in with them, were she alive. Most of the family believe Rucker was killed by an ex-boyfriend. They reported her missing to the Waterloo Police Department on April 12, 1979. Growing up, Rucker's 2 daughters and other family members shielded little David from the truth about what happened. They told him she'd been killed in an automobile accident when he was a year old, and it wasn't until he attended a family reunion his senior year in college and was on his way to the NFL that he would learn the truth. In a September 2007 article published by the New York Times, David Barrett said an uncle let the truth slip out during the 2000 reunion. "It was a shocker," Barrett told the Times. "I had gone all my life trying to figure out what actually happened. Every time I'd ask somebody, they'd be like, 'Go ask him. Go ask her.' They kept pushing it around." Barrett and his sisters had been taken in by their maternal grandparents, who'd raised 9 of their own children. By the time Barrett was ready to enter 9th grade, his oldest sister, Kim Moss, had just completed her undergraduate degree at Henderson State and wanted to become David's legal guardian. David moved to Arkansas to be with her, and it was there at Osceola High School he met football coach Clinton Gore, who eventually became his mentor. Barrett played college football for the Arkansas Razorbacks, and during his college career had a total of 176 tackles, 7 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and 5 sacks. He majored in architecture. He was drafted in 2000 by the Arizona Cardinals in the 4th round, and after 4 seasons there, signed a 6-year deal with the New York Jets and became the team's starting cornerback. Throughout his cross-country travels for games, Barrett held on to the hope his mother might still be alive. In every city, he told the Times, he entertained the fantasy that his mother may miraculously appear. "I see people with her last name, and I wonder if they are any kin to me, any relation," he said. "Because who's to say that she's not still out there, living her life and not knowing what's going on?" Bringing up the subject is kind of that taboo subject in the family, Barrett said, where everyone was touchy and emotional whenever it was brought up. "I always felt that not having a mom was a big factor in my life," he said in the Times interview. "I missed never having that person you can come home to and call mom who will put her arms around you and tell you she loves you." Despite his reserved demeanor, the 5'10", 195-pound Barrett always made plays, according to agent Drew Pittman. "He's always played bigger than his height," Pittman said in a telephone interview with the New York Times in an article published October 1, 2006. "He's a very strong guy, and he's good at knocking receivers off their routes." Barrett was released by the Jets in February 2009 and is currently a free agent. He continues to search for answers in his mother's unexplained disappearance. On a chilly October evening in 2016, 23-year-old Jesse J. Leopold vanished without a trace. A young man from Boone, Iowa, Jesse was last seen at his workplace in Jewell, where he told his supervisor he'd step out to pick up his medicine. He never returned. What happened next is a mystery that haunts his family and community to this day. Jesse worked at W&G Marketing, a meat processing plant in Jewell, Iowa. On the evening of October 13th, he was last seen wearing a blue shirt, blue jeans, and no shoes. His father, Jerry Leopold, grew concerned when Jesse didn't come home and wasn't heard from by anyone. 2 days later, Jerry turned to social media, pleading for help to find his son. The following morning, Jesse's purple Ford F-150 truck was found abandoned in Ledges State Park, approximately 30 to 35 miles away from his workplace. The truck was unlocked, with the keys still in the ignition, a detail that immediately raised red flags for his father. Community members rallied to aid in the search. Bloodhounds were brought in, but could not pick up Jesse's scent near the truck. This led Jerry to believe his son may not have even stepped out of the vehicle at Ledges. Jesse was described as a 6'1" white male with hazel eyes, weighing around 180 to 185 pounds. His work boots were found in the back of his truck, and it's believed he had no other shoes or boots with him. The temperatures on the night of his disappearance had dropped into the mid-20s. Local officials, including the Boone County Sheriff's Office, struggled to piece together the events leading up to Jesse's disappearance. While there were no immediate signs of foul play, deputies did not rule it out, leaving the case shrouded in unanswered questions. Jesse's father revealed that his son struggled with bipolar disorder, depression, and anxiety. He recently mentioned he couldn't afford his prescription, raising concerns that he might have sought drugs from unsafe sources. Yet, no concrete evidence has ever surfaced to support this theory. With no activity on Jesse's cell phone or bank accounts since his disappearance, the family turned to flyers and public pleas for information. Jerry admitted that he feared the worst after 10 days passed without any sign of his son. "I find it highly unlikely he's alive. He'd need mad skills to survive 2 weeks in this weather without shoes," says Jesse's father in an interview. The case faced another setback when Jesse's father moved the truck before officials could process it, contaminating potential evidence. Without solid leads, investigators hit roadblock after roadblock. Sergeant Cole Hoffman from the Boone County Sheriff's Office described the investigation as plagued by rumors and a lack of first-hand information. Despite hundreds of man-hours and extensive searches of Ledges Park and the Des Moines River, Jesse's whereabouts remain unknown. Jesse's disappearance has left his family and friends with more questions than answers. If you have any information that could help solve this case, please contact the Boone County Sheriff's Office. Every tip could make a difference. Jesse Leopold's story is a stark reminder of how one moment can change everything. His family continues to hope for closure, and the search for answers goes on.